Okay guys, welcome back. So the next system that we're going to go through is the muscle skeletal system. And it's not a very long slideshow, so we'll try and make this pretty brief as possible. So the muscle skeletal system. So this system is made up of all the bones and the muscles in your body. So you have about 206 bones in your body, and they vary in size. Some bones are pretty large, and some bones are very, very small. Okay? And they provide support and protection for us. Now, your skeleton and backbone is what's supporting your weight, providing you structure. That's why we have the bones in our body. It's really to provide a structure and to carry the weight of all of our muscles and the water and all the rest of the parts of our body. Okay? So your skull, your ribs, your vertebrae all protect vital parts of their body. So specifically talking about the skeleton, there's a couple of structural features of the skeleton. They consist of three major types of tissues. So if you look over at the picture on the right here, okay, there's three kind of major types of tissues that we're going to kind of be looking at here. So the first one is the bone. So if you kind of look at the kind of picture that I'm drawing here, these are the actual bone part. Okay, it's the solid part. So bones are hard and dense, made mostly of calcium, and only a small percentage of them are considered living. They are cells. But they're cells that aren't necessarily living cells. They've kind of formed their bone, and then they're not really living anymore. Okay, so that's the bone part right there. Now, as you can see, I have a bone from the bottom and then the bone from the top, and they're coming in. Now, when we want to connect these two things, we need things called ligaments. And what a ligament is, you can kind of see here on the outside. Let me just pick a different color here. And the part that I'm kind of doing in yellow, okay, that's what we consider a ligament. And really what a ligament is a kind of an elastic connective tissue that holds two bones together at a joint. So this bone at the top is going to bend, and the bone at the bottom is going to bend, and the ligament is basically that's holding those two bones together so one bone doesn't fall out. Okay. The last thing that I want to talk about is cartilage, and that's the other part of the skeleton. So it's kind of very similar to bone, but a little bit more flexible. So it's a dense connective tissue found in the ears, nose, joints, and other areas. Cartilage is more flexible than bones and is used in areas that need to flex without breaking. So I'll go back to the picture in a second, but if you just take your ear right now and start bending it, you can bend your ear because it's not made of bone. It's actually made of cartilage, which is similar to bone, but a little bit more flexible. Okay, same with our nose. It's basically parts of our body that still need structural support, but they need to be a little bit more flexible. And if they need to be flexible, we use cartilage. Now, that's bones. Now, the other major part is the muscles. Okay, so we have three major types of muscles in our body. We have skeletal muscles, and those are the muscles that kind of contract and that we use without us wanting to do them. Okay, so it's like if you want to move and you voluntarily decide, okay, I want to move, then you're going to use your skeletal muscle. These are the muscles that we control, like your bicep muscle, your leg muscles, the muscles that we can control with our brain, okay, with our thoughts. Now, smooth muscle is what we call involuntary muscle. It's muscle that automatically starts contracting even though we don't have to think about it. Okay, for example, your diaphragm is a muscle, okay, that basically lifts up and goes down and makes you breathe. Well, you don't have to think about breathing, it just happens. Okay, and that muscle that keeps contracting and releasing, it's called a smooth muscle because we don't have to think about it, it automatically contracts. And then the last type of muscle is cardiac muscle, and that's used in the heart in order to basically make the heart pump, and it's a very, very special muscle. It's only found in the heart. Okay, so just kind of an FYI, the difference between smooth muscle and skeletal muscle. So skeletal muscle is strong, forceful contractions. These are the ones that we want to do. They're very, very strong. Like I want to lift up this heavy box, then I'm going to pick my skeletal muscles that are going to do it. I'm going to decide I want to lift up this box. They're very, very strong, but they fatigue easily, means you can't use them forever. Okay. Smooth muscles are a little bit different. They're not very strong. They can't make very, very strong, forceful contractions, but they don't fatigue easily. They can keep going and going and going without getting tired. Okay. All right, so making muscles move. How do we actually make the muscles move? Well, really, if you kind of look at the picture on the right, this is a really good picture. So what we have here, I'm going to take my highlighter again. I'm going to highlight the actual muscle. Okay. So the very top picture here, you can see the muscle is extended. This would be kind of a relaxed. Okay, this is where you're kind of extending your arm out. Your muscle's not doing anything. It's relaxing right now. Okay. Well, what we're going to do is we're going to pull this barbell up. So we're going to activate the muscle. But it takes place in 2 steps. The first step is that your muscle starts to shrink, and you can see that in your second picture here, okay, where kind of this picture right here that we're talking about, okay? And you can see that the muscle starts to basically close in on itself. It gets smaller. And as that muscle gets stronger, it pulls on your bones, okay? An area that I'm going to highlight here in red, okay, this little thing that I'm highlighting right now, that's the ligament right there. You can see that little ligament attachment. So you have your muscle, and then attached to the bone is the ligament, and as that muscle shrinks, it basically pulls that bone up, and that's how we move our bodies. So contraction is when it shortens the muscle, and then relaxing is when the muscle is fully extended. It just goes back and forth and back and forth. Now we do have some problems with our skeleton. Specifically is this disease called osteoporosis. And what happens in osteoporosis is basically your bones start hollowing out. So if you look on the left here under normal bone matrix in my picture, this is what your bones should look like. Right? But over time, what can happen, especially it's more common in females after menopause, is their bones become really, really weak. Okay? And they become basically, you can see the picture, osteoporosis is basically hollowing of bones. So now your bones are very fragile. And this can be concerning because if your bones are fragile, if you fall, you have the tendency to break your bone. So you may have heard before, oh, my grandma fell and she broke her hip. Well, that doesn't happen to us. When we fall, we don't shatter our hips. But it's because, especially in older females, their bones become fragile. So if they fall, they can shatter the bones a lot easier. Now, it can happen in males as well, but it's more common in females. Okay? So that's our lecture on the musculoskeletal system. Thanks for joining me, and let me know if you have any questions.